Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this is something completely different. It's not about music. I'm going to show my 5 favourite actors that have portrayed Sherlock Holmes. I'm a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes on the silver screen. I will admit I have never read any of the books at all by Arthur Conan Doyle, but when it comes to TV Sherlock Holmes or film Sherlock Holmes, I just love it completely. Now I do have 5 favourite actors, but before I do that, I must say I have an awful lot of Sherlock Holmes DVDs, some good, some bad, some terrible, the good, the bad and the ugly really. So I'm going to go through a few before I go into my 5 favourite actors, and this is a dreadful one, and this is Sherlock Holmes and the Deadly Necklace. And it features Christopher Lee. I think it's from either the late 50s or the very early 60s, and this is an Italian film. And the problem with this is that his voice, Lee's voice, is overdubbed. Could you believe that? They overdubbed his voice. But Christopher Lee was Sherlock Holmes. He was actually Sherlock Holmes again in the 90s, or was it the very early 2000s? I think it was the 90s. But he was also Mycroft Holmes as well in one of the films, The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, and he was also Henry Baskerville in one of the Hound of the Baskervilles. So this is not very good at all, so just mention that. Right, here are some that I liked but didn't get into the top 5. And Arthur Wantner. Now this is going really far back. This is going back to the 1930s. And I do enjoy these, although the quality of them is not great and they are quite slow. But this was even before Basil Rathbone. This one here is Ronald Howard, and this was like a 1950s series. I think it must have only lasted about 30 minutes long, because I think most of these are about 25 minutes long, so it must have been on like an ITV or something like that there. But there's so many episodes of these. They're okay, but because they're so short, there's not much to them. It's a quick solve, put it that way. This one here I actually quite liked, and it was with Christopher Plummer. Murder by Decree. I'm not too sure, I think it was the early 70s, maybe 60s. Pretty good film. And this one here with John Neville, Study in Terror, I thought was actually very good as well. Now the two really bubbling unders are the two biggies. Robert Downey Jr., Sherlock Holmes with what's his name again? Jude Law as Watson. Now I really enjoyed this first one. The second one I didn't enjoy as much, but this is more like an action-packed Holmes. It's not really the Sherlock Holmes you expect, but it was still good. And then this one here with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, Sherlock. Now this was 4 series for the BBC, and I just think they got progressively worse. The first one was brilliant. This was a modern day Holmes, and there are hints of some of the Sherlock Holmes stories in these, but sometimes I think it gets a little bit too weird, but still very, very enjoyable. And Una Stubbs was Mrs. Hudson. But yeah, I enjoy them, but as I say, progressively worse. Okay, so my top 5 portrayal of Holmes, and believe it or not, I really enjoyed Matt Frewer. Now this is the Hound of the Baskervilles, this is the Whitechapel Vampire, and this is the Royal Scandal. And Kenneth Walsh was his Watson, and I think he portrays it very well. Now Holmes in this is actually quite eccentric, and when I first bought the very first DVD, I think it was The Hound of the Baskervilles, I thought, oh god, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this, but he really did bring me in, and I thoroughly enjoyed his portrayal. He did one other one called The Sign of Four, which I do have, but it's like a double disc with Hound of the Baskervilles, so I've got it twice. But one thing I will say about this, he's got the worst wig ever. Like Matt Frewer is a bald guy, and it's almost like a ginger wig that he's wearing, and it's so terrible looking, it's so obvious that it's a wig. But I have to admit, I really do enjoy his portrayal, especially The Sign of Four, which I think he is absolutely brilliant in. So number 5 for me is Matt Frewer. Now number 4 is a 1960s TV series, and it's Sherlock Holmes, and it's Douglas Wilmer, and his Watson is Nigel Stock. Now he portrays Holmes in a very sort of wooden fashion, but the more you watch it, the more you thoroughly enjoy his portrayal, and you can see some of, it's not comedy, some of the wit that comes out with him. He is very prim and proper and all the rest of it, but I think it works so well. And Nigel Stock is one of the best Watsons there is, and we'll be coming back to him. But yeah, this has got some really great Sherlock Holmes stories. I really like the Beryl Coronet, especially because Susan Farmer is in it. I didn't realise that at the time. But yeah, this is all in black and white, unfortunately. It would have been better in colour, but still, it's an absolutely wonderful series. And number 4, and these top 4 are the creme de la creme for me. These are the best. So Douglas Wilmer is my number 4. Now, my number 3, and it carries on from Douglas Wilmer because they did the series again, but in colour in the mid-60s. And Holmes was now Peter Cushing, and Peter Cushing's my number 3. Anything Peter Cushing does is brilliant. Nigel Stock remains as Dr. Watson, and he plays Watson exactly the same way as he did in the Douglas Wilmer set. So Peter Cushing, he just gives everything to any role he plays, and I absolutely love it. I love to see, is it the Blue Carbuncle with, is it James Beck from Dad's Army playing the villain, and it's just wonderful, and this all is in colour. Now unfortunately there's about 4 or 5 lost episodes, which, you know, one day they may turn up, but I would absolutely love to see them. Now Peter Cushing just didn't do this series, he was also Sherlock Holmes in The Hound of the Baskervilles for Hammer Films, and you can see Christopher Lee there was Henry Baskerville, and Andre Morel was as Dr. Watson. So I do really enjoy this film as well, but I do prefer the actual series from the BBC in the mid-60s. And he also was Sherlock Holmes in 1983 when he teamed up with John Gielgud for The Mask of Death, which I have seen, and I thought I had, but I can't find it, and then I realised that I probably never owned it. I remember being part of the Amazon rental DVD club way back in the 2000s, and I think that's where I got it from. I rented it out, I probably copied it using DVD shrink then, but I've since probably thrown it out. But not the best, but still the Hound of the Baskervilles plus the series Peter Cushing, absolutely magnificent. I will say that I still prefer the TV series of the Hound of the Baskervilles to his portrayal for Hammer. And number 2, and of course it's Basil Rathbone, and Nigel Bruce is his bumbling Dr. Watson. A lot of people think he's too bumbling, but I think it's just great comedic effect. And these films are so easy to watch. Now some of them were like war propaganda, really, because a lot of them were recorded during the Second World War. But the first 2 were done for Fox, or 20th Century Fox, and they were The Hound of the Baskervilles as well. I think that's the most DVDs I've got of any sort of film, is The Hound of the Baskervilles. And the second one was Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and then Universal took over and made them slightly shorter, more around the 1 hour 5 minute length. But they're all wonderful. Things like the Scarlet Claw, Dress to Kill. One of my favourites is actually one of regarded the weakest ones, and that's Pursuit to Algiers. It's padded out with singing and all the rest, but I just love the film. But for a while they toyed with Basil Rathbone's appearance, and they brushed his hair forward for about 3 or 4 films, especially the war ones. It didn't really bother me, but it looks a bit silly. but then he went back to having that great profile with the hair swept back and so forth. But yeah, absolutely love this series, and 4 of them were actually colorized, and this is Terror by Night. This is a colorized one. Now, you can get them all colorized on YouTube, but I don't know how professionally well they've been done. I haven't actually watched them yet. These are professionally colorized, and there's one, as I say, called Dress to Kill, which they call Prelude to Murder. And Patricia Morrison is the villain in that, and she's my favourite with a lot of them. So, Basil Rathbone, my number 2. And my favourite Sherlock Holmes was portrayed by none other than Jeremy Brett, and the whole series is in this box set that I bought 20 years ago, and I remember binging this. I got through this whole box set in about 5 days, and I think he is absolutely wonderful. Now, he's actually a little aloof in some of them as well, but that's the way Holmes was supposed to be. You know, there was references to the drug taking, which there also was with Basil Rathbone, because on the last words of Hound of the Baskervilles was Watson the Needle. But yeah, he had 2 Watsons. David Burke was for the first series, a little bit more comedic effect with David Burke, but very, very enjoyable. And then Edward Hardwicke, which is probably more famous as Watson, with Jeremy Brett. Now, the thing about Jeremy Brett is this started around 1983 for Granada. I think it finished around 1994. And at the start of it, you could see he was as fit as a fiddle, he was slim, he was energetic, he was running all over the place. By the end, he was close to death in real life, and you could see that. He had put on so much weight. He was slowed down, you know, he was almost walking with a stick. But in saying that, there's not one bad episode on this. I just love everything of this, so I do. I think it's great. The Illustrious Client, and then the one with the blackmailer, I can't remember the name of it, and of course the Hound of the Baskervilles as well. And then the one with the vampire, which is actually a full feature film. There's about 3 full feature films in this. But yeah, perfect portrayal, and he is number 1 Holmes, and nobody's ever beaten Jeremy Brett. It's just a pity that his health really did let him down during his recording of Sherlock Holmes. So, number 1, Jeremy Brett. So those are my 5 favourite portrayals of the Master Sleuth Sherlock Holmes, and a few ones that I also enjoy. This is just a one-off video. I may do 1 or 2 of these type videos. I just fancy doing it, and the reason being is I've been watching a lot of Sherlock Holmes again, especially the ones with Douglas Wilmer, which has blown my mind. Really, really enjoying them. So I may do a Dracula one next, but I will be way down the line. Okay, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll have an ordinary music video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.